mic up. Let me see if I can. Let me see if I can do an adjustment real quick. Come on. I should know better than to mess with this. Crap. Well, we'll have to leave it like this for now. I really shouldn't have messed with that mic. I knew I shouldn't have messed with that. Damn it. It'll have to do for now. Never a dull moment. Never a dull moment. Oh, jeez. From station WDWL TV, with great anticipation, we bring you the pride of the station. The grumpy old man, me, and who are you again? Oh, the grumpy vulture. You want to take a bow? Do you usually do that? All right, take a bow. Take a bow. Let's see how you do your bow. Okay, no stink eye in the camera tonight. Your banner's a little crooked. Go back, look at the camera. Let me get this out of the way. Okay. Time for roll call. Kathy, Linda. Okay, roll call's over. Show's done. See you, bye. That would be a short version of a Kaiser show. No such thing. There would never be a short version. If this mic is too loud, I gotta apologize. I started to make some adjustments. I got everything all out of whack. This thing is so touchy that if I handle it, I knock the controls out. I was trying to adjust the height a little bit. So if the mic is too loud, I apologize. I should know better than to mess with shit just before showtime. But I was looking at it going, here was my original thought. To bring it straight up. Well, I forgot that I need an extension. I only have, I don't know, you can't really see it. This is an extension bar right here. I need another extension bar in order to take the mic and bring it straight down. Because I've discovered that if you talk into the side of the mic, it's better than talking into the bottom of the mic. Yeah, see here, if you talk into the bottom of the mic, or you talk into the side of the mic, see, there's a difference in sound. So I was going to bring it straight up and down. Then I started to crank it over, and I was like, uh-oh. I tried to put it back right away. I should know better. So, how's everybody doing tonight? I'll tell you, that was another bit of an epic show last night. Having two more of my Lakewood Hospital friends pop in, and then what I never knew is that Timmy, my next door neighbor, and Miguel went to school together. I was like, really? And there's a possibility that Miguel would have been over at Timmy's house, and I don't remember him because they all hung out at each other's houses. So there's a possibility I knew Miguel before I even met him at the hospital. And then Sarah, she worked in I think she worked in housekeeping. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. She worked in housekeeping too. It's amazing how many of my Lakewood Hospital friends are popping in. So you doing good, Linda? Good as to be expected. Kathy, how's the little one? Since she only made it to noon yesterday, evidently she wasn't feeling 100%, so she'll have the weekend to rest up. Yeah, I got an email from one of my friends that lives out west. He's been a diabetic for quite a while and was able to keep everything under control. Well, when you get old, you kind of don't pay attention to things. He got an ingrown toenail on his big toe. Now they have to remove the big toe. I said, weren't you paying attention? He went, nah, it wasn't really bothering me. Yeah, it don't bother you until they have to amputate it. I know your big toe has a lot to do with your balance. God, how do you walk on a foot without a big toe? Well, you just walk on a foot with one less toe, but I always was told your big toe is used for balance. It adjusts your foot. Yeah, luckily he said that's all they got to do. They did catch it in time before the infection got too bad, but he said he's going in Monday. Of course, they do everything outpatient now, but he said they're gonna remove the toe. When you're old and diabetic, you can't screw, especially with your feet, because your circulation below your knees sucks. And that's one of the last things you want to neglect is your feeties and your toes. I check my toes all the time. I have 5 on each foot. And I plan on keeping 5 on each foot for a long time. Although, I always had a problem with brittle fingernails. So, several years back, my doctor said, take biotin. 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 He said it's wonderful for fingernails and for hair. Yeah, you can see how well it works. So, I've been taking on a regular, daily. One major drawback, it makes your nails grow like crazy. I'll tell you what, I have never cut my goddamn nails as much as I have in the last couple of years. Now, I do have nice, no more brittle nails, but it seems like I no sooner trim them on Monday and then Friday I'm trimming them again. Not to mention the feetsies. And I have got goddamn disgusting subject here. My goddamn toenails are so thick. I actually trim them with a Dremel tool. Yeah, I have a cordless Dremel. Works like a charm. Because I can't put it this way. In order for me to trim, I need bolt cutters. That's how thick them goddamn nails are on my toe. So, I was watching a program about podiatry, and the podiatrist was using a Dremel to take care of toenails. I was like, shit, I can do that. So I bought a cordless. And it works like a charm. You have the little, they're little drums. Drum sanders. They just, that's the only thing that scares the shit. Well, my Dremel tool and the vacuum cleaner scare the shit out of my cat. He'll be laying on the bed, and I fire up the Dremel and poof, gone. Or if I fire up the vacuum cleaner, he hates the vacuum cleaner. I don't know why. Maybe it's the sound of the motor. I mean, I've never vacuumed my cat. Although maybe when he was a kitten, see, I never got the whole story as to what abuse he went through. There might have been a possibility that they tormented him with a vacuum cleaner. I never could get the whole story. All I know is they almost killed him a couple of times. And I almost killed him a couple of... Oh, I'll tell you what. I have never, out of all the rescue cats, I have never called the rescue and said, can I bring him back? Oh, he was a bastard. And the water. I I never saw a cat that if you would leave the lid up on the toilet, it would be empty. He would splash all the water out. If I had a dishpan in the kitchen sink, the water would be gone. But he never messed with his water bowl. Figure that one out. Yeah, cat, it could be maybe, like a dog whistle, a certain tone affects their ears. It could be maybe the hum of the motor or the vibration. But as soon as I turn that thing on, he's gone. Oh, I told you about the time I was getting ready to clean the bathtub, and I put maybe about 2 inches of water in the tub. And I went to get my cleaning brush. I walk in the bathroom, and he's in the bathtub, splashing water all over the place. And you know how they tell you if a cat's doing something wrong, like say they're scratching furniture, to take a spray bottle and squirt them? Oh, this bastard, I have emptied spray bottles on him to the point where he looks like a drowned rat. And he'll sit there. More? Come on. He'll just sit there and take it. I have never had a cat that. What big cat likes water? Leopards? I think leopards. Or is it tigers? I know there's one big cat that loves water. Now, lions, they'll tolerate water. But it's either tigers or leopards. They'll actually swim across the stream, But the thing that always got me, which thank God, he would not mess with the water bowl. That was the only thing I could set with water in it that he wouldn't play in. I told you, Kathy, about when I was going to make tea the one day. I put the pan on the stove with the water. Now, I hadn't turned the stove on. And I go across the kitchen to the cupboard to get the tea bags. He's up on the counter and he's got his front feet in the pan. I'm like, what are you doing? He looked at me like, I'm soaking my feet. But he won't mess with his water bowl. I mean, thank God, jeez. With the mess that he made, even the vet can't explain it. The vet was like, I don't know. Well, gee, thank you. Have you ever watched anything with Judge Boyd out of Bear County, Texas? I love Judge Boyd. I watched an interesting video today with Judge Boyd. Very interesting. Because she's another one that she don't mince words. Now, she don't cuss and swear like Judge Mogan. Judge Mogan speaks her mind. Really. I wouldn't want to piss her off. Although, I wouldn't want to piss Judge Boyd off either. Another one is Judge Washington in Detroit. Oh, shit. You watch Judge Boyd? She had a case. The girl was an adult. The daughter. She was an adult. I don't know what the crime was because they didn't get into it. Now the girl had an attorney, but Dad was one of these that even though his daughter was an adult, he didn't want to cut them strings. And he come in and he started quoting certain laws to Judge Boyd, and she went, "Are you an attorney?" And he said, "Well, no." He said, "Have you ever studied law?" "No." She said, "What do you do for a living?" And he was in some sort of shipping. So Judge Boyd turns to the girl's attorney and said, "How long have you been a practicing bar member?" And the attorney said, 20 years. She said, "How long did you go to school?" She said, 6. So Judge Boyd is lecturing Dad. Says, "Your daughter has an attorney. You have to trust that attorney. Don't try to tell the attorney how to practice law." And the father was like, "Well, you know, she's had some mental episodes." And Judge Boyd was like, "I already know that." She says, "How do I know that?" "Because your daughter's attorney has requested a mental evaluation." So Dad pops up and says, "Well, she's already had a mental evaluation." And Judge Boyd was like, "Oh? When was this?" "A year ago." So after she gets done admonishing Dad, because he seemed to have an answer for everything, she says, "Any more questions?" And the attorney says, "I have one." She says, "Dad has a mental evaluation that was done a year ago and refuses to turn it over to me." Judge Boyd is like, "Is that true?" And Dad's clutching this fucking envelope, like, "Grr." Judge Boyd says, "Let me tell you something. Your daughter's an adult. Those medical records are hers, not yours. If your daughter wants her attorney to see those medical records, that is between your daughter and her attorney. And I suggest you turn over your daughter's medical records to your daughter because she is an adult and you have no business holding on to her medical records. So the daughter turns to dad and he pulls the medical records out. And it was like watching my grandmother at the dealership with a check. And Judge Boyd says, give your daughter her medical information. So dad hands it to her, Judge Boyd says, do you happen to have any more of your daughter's medical records? He said, well, not with me. So Judge Boyd says to him, I suggest as soon as you walk in the door when you get home, you get all of your daughter's medical records and give them to her because they are hers, not yours. And you could see Dad was getting flustered, and Judge Boyd says, before we go, let me give you a little bit of information. Since you were not an attorney, do not try to tell your daughter's attorney how to defend your daughter. Do I make myself clear? And Dad was like, yes. This is the type of parent. Now, I don't know I don't even know if Mom was in the courtroom. I get the impression she's an only child. And of course, Daddy's little princess. Daddy does not want to. Daddy is living back in the little princess days. He don't want to cut the strings. His daughter could be 50 and he wants to still control her life. And Judge Boyd kind of made it clear that, hey, she is an adult. She's facing criminal charges. You don't want to mess things up. I wish I could have followed that case. It was going to be interesting because I could see anything that Dad didn't like, he would have been, I feel sorry for the attorney because Dad is going to be a bastard. Dad is going to be a bastard. The only way they're going to be able to get things done is that attorney won't be able to do anything in her office. They're going to have to go somewhere. The daughter and the attorney, they're going to have to go somewhere where Dad isn't going to be there. Because if Dad is sitting in the waiting room, he'll have his ear against the door because he wants to hear everything that's going on. It was obvious. He didn't want to part with those medical records. And the first thing the daughter did was she handed them to the attorney, which really pissed Dad off. The look in his face was like, hey. But Judge Boyd said, if you got any more, give them to her. They're hers. I got the immediate impression that she was an only child. And Daddy's little princess, and Daddy probably spoiled her fucking rotten, and spoiled her rotten so that he could control her. Because I get the impression the girl probably didn't have a normal life growing up. Probably didn't get to go out with a lot of friends because Dad was like, I don't like her and I don't care for him. And she probably had a like 9 o'clock curfew even when she was 17. I just kind of picked up on some of the questions Dad was asking, and one of these, and if the daughter ever gets married, I can see Dad butting into the, I can't see Dad approving of any guy. No matter what kind of guy she brought home, Dad, you're not good enough for my daughter. Even though the daughter's an adult and can make her own decisions, I think Dad ran her life. She probably had a miserable life. Probably why she's got some mental problems. That was my Judge Boyd story for today. You know, I realize things have changed with the court system. Oh my God, when they go to sentence somebody, they ask 50,000 questions. Did you understand this form? Did you read that form? Did you sign that form? Did your attorney go over this form? Did this form, that form? Are you making the plea voluntarily? Yes. Of your own free will? Yes. Are you sure? Yes. God. I realize you have to do everything to the letter of the law, but all the questions, oh, gee, over and over and over, and this form, that form, did you sign this, did you sign that, did you read this, did you, Get a little air in here. One. All right, come on, spool up. 1, 2. Hey, Jenny's here. Stopping in to say hi. Okay. We appreciate that. Did you... What... Here's how much I pay attention to things. Did you send me a Discord thingy? Was that you? I got a friend request today from a Jenny on Discord, but I didn't recognize all the other... Oh, okay. I was going to say, if it's not you, there's another Jenny I'm a friend with now. The only problem is I'm barely on Discord. Although I will be on a regular basis soon. because I have Discord set up in this computer right here. The monitor's right here. I've been using this computer to watch the Eagles out in Big Bear in San Bernardino. They're going to fledge any day. They have been practicing, hopping up and down. As a matter of fact, the one caught a little air today. It scared the shit out of him. He was like, whoa. Any day, they're going to be leaving. And if they leave and they don't come back, like the ones did in Florida, they left and never came home, this computer will be back to my Discord computer. And I will probably leave it on all day while I'm here. So, yeah, I've got it. All I have to do is click the one icon at the bottom, and Discord pops right up. I'm all signed in. So as soon as the brothers leave home, I will be back on Discord on a daily basis. Now, with as many goddamn computers and monitors I have, I could have set up another computer. But I like this one because it's right at eye level. Yeah, I was looking at it, it was Jenny, and I don't recognize everything after the Jenny. I was looking for your real name. And I was like, oh, what the hell? I'll be a friend. Click. So, I'm your friend now. Like I wasn't before, but now we're Discord friends. I have to remember how to use it. It's been so long since I've been on Discord, I have to relearn how to operate it. I was kind of hoping my Lakewood Hospital people would pop back in. It was amazing when Timmy started chatting with Miguel. And I'm like, how do you know Miguel? And here they went to goddamn school together. And I was racking my two brain cells back and forth against one another. Of course, I'm trying to picture Miguel as a young teenager being over at Timmy's house. I'm sure he was there. You know, Linda, this is the first year I followed eagles. And I mean, the ones out in Big Bear, I followed them from hatching. Although it was sad, you know, she laid 3 eggs, and the 3 eggs hatched, and then that goddamn ice storm hit, and that one, I think, froze to death. So she lost the one. But like the ones in Florida, once they fledged, they were gone. They never came back. And the guy from Division of Wildlife was saying, well, usually they'll come back and they'll hang around for maybe a week and then they leave. I would think that to be in that safe space, they would stay, even though they can fly now, you know. Because I'll tell you what, those parents out in Big Bear constantly vigilant. There was never a time one of them wasn't at that nest, if not both. The only time one would leave is to go get something to eat. I don't know if I don't know, maybe when they fledge, they just want their freedom. I would think they would return knowing that they've been getting a free meal, that they didn't have to go get their own, that they would return to the nest because it was safe. Now, sooner or later, they have to leave. But I would think with them being still young, even though they learned to fly, they would remain in a safe zone. I guess not. At least the ones in Florida, they never came back. They both left the same day and never came back. And then another thing, after the young ones leave, do the parents still stay in the nest? Do they live there all year long? I know, eagles mate for life, but once the little ones leave, are they still going to be hanging around that nest? I would think, yeah, because they want to protect it, especially after they build it. But I don't know eagleology. Which nest? Are we talking the Florida nest, or are we talking the California nest? Because I was watching, of course, the ones in Florida, they laid eggs a lot sooner and they hatched a lot earlier than the ones out in California. Now, not knowing eagleology, somebody said that, I guess they call the bottom of the nest the bowl, that the bowl wasn't big enough for 3 babies, and that's why the one kind of Oh, the Florida ones. These are the Florida ones. Number. But like this California nest. I mean, it's a successful nest. It produced two nice, big, healthy young ones. Once the young ones leave, I think Jackie and Shadow, I think that's the name of mom and dad. Will Jackie and Shadow remain and like protect that nest so that some squatter don't come in and take their nest? I don't know eagleology. I would think with the work they put in to build that big frickin' nest, they would stick around. Although it is amazing how they got that camera up there in the tree. Actually, two cameras. Because the one camera the other day, they swung it around and it showed the other camera. I'd like to know how they got those cameras up there, because those cameras are like 150 feet in the air. That's where those nests are that high up. Who climbed up there to put a couple of cameras up? There were actually, I was watching originally the Eagles in Florida, and then in Georgia, and then out in California. And I don't know why I stopped watching the Georgia ones, because it was basically when the young ones took off in Florida, the Georgia ones were like half their age. They were still younglets. And then the egg hatching out in California. So I have learned a lot about bald eagles. Man, I'll tell you what, do they know how to fish? God, like today, Dad went out and got a fish. That son of a bitch was huge. Come up and dropped it in the nest, plop. Really? God, you would think they would protect that nest. So once the little ones are gone, that's it. I don't have nothing to watch. Wow. Then come mating season next spring, do they return to their old nest? Or is it like a fight for empty space? If Jackie and Shadow don't come back home, somebody else takes it over? Wow. Interesting. Hmm. Although it's no different than like the robins that build a nest in Mary Ann's tree. After everybody left, the nest is free game, I guess. That was cool watching them because Mama Robin, she built that nest on a low limb. I could kind of peek. She had 3 eggs in there. I was like, oh, all 3 hatched. I'd be out in the driveway watching little mouths come up when Mom would come back with with a worm. And then they all see ya. I would think with the work they put into building that nest, because those nests are huge. So it's just fair game, huh? Come mating season next spring, whoever takes the nest gets it, huh? Did they come back to the same nest, or don't you know? Well, I guess I'll have to keep that. I was going to delete that. I'll keep that in my saved things on my computer then. I can look in every now and then and see what's going on. Man, it's amazing the size of those nests, though. Holy shit. They're huge. They put some work into building a nest, I'll say that. I really enjoyed watching them. I felt sorry. I really felt sorry for Jackie because man, they had some nasty snowstorms hit, and it was like right after she laid the eggs. And there one morning I turned it on, and all you saw was her head. She was buried in snow. And then finally she shook the snow off, and she was real good about turning those eggs. Her and Shadow. Every now and then he'd be like, hey, my turn. They were real attentive parents. I'll tell you what, to this day, they're vigilant. I'll tell you, you talk about vigilant. One will be sitting up on a higher limb and she'll be sitting down by the nest, and man, they're constantly watching. Because the other day, a goddamn falcon or something buzz bombed them. And it was amazing because it come down and Shadow jumped up and he kicked that goddamn bird in the air. And that falcon did a little bit of a barrel roll before it. I was like, wow. I really learned a lot about eagles this year. And I come across them by accident. I can't remember what the hell I was watching a YouTube video, and I looked down and it was something about eagles in Florida, you know. I clicked on it and I was like, oh, this is neat. And then it gave a link to the ones in Georgia. And then the Georgias gave a link to the ones out in California. I had 3 computers going for a while. I was watching all 3 areas at once. Yep. Yeah. Appreciate you stopping in to say hi. Appreciate it. Thank you, thank you. I'm just babbling on about watching the bald eagles. I'm going to miss them. Especially watching the boys from birth. Then they're going to leave and I'll never see them again. Oh, really? Well, that's good. I watched last year. Yeah, last year. I watched the whole thing on the California condors. Now, those are some birds. Holy Christ. They're huge. And they were showing how I don't know if they went up in the nest and they would take an egg, but I know they had a hatching program at the zoo. And it was amazing watching them work with those little baby condors, and then they got them to the point where they could release them. Those are neat birds. Oh, good. So they keep a real close eye on them. Good, good, good. But watching that special on, well, they've got because we almost lost the goddamn California condors due to the pesticides and that. So the zoo has what the hell you call it? A propagation program where they have several, they keep them in captivity, and they're slowly building up, rebuilding again. But it's amazing when they take them out and they release them into the wild, and you watch them things soar. I think they got like a 10, 12-foot wingspan. Man, those birds are huge. Grumpy the amateur ornithologist. I think that's what you call it. I get into watching. I love nature programs. That's why I miss my National Geographic. They used to do a lot of stuff over in Africa. I loved watching. Although it's sad that, like, if a male lion will have his family and then he gets killed, and then another male comes in and then he kills all the little ones. Oh man, I couldn't take watching that. Especially when the little ones thought he was playing, and they run up, and the next thing you know, because they don't want those genes passed on. They want their own. I mean, it's nature, and there's nothing you can do about it, but man, she had like 6 cubs, and that one come in and he annihilated all of them. I didn't like watching that. Especially, the little ones, they thought he was playing. They run up and he wasn't playing. That's the only thing I didn't like about watching the Lion special. Although another thing that surprised me was, like, if a water buffalo gives birth, how fast that little one gets up and learns to run. Because otherwise they're going to be breakfast. Then there was one group of lions that they thought they were gonna get a baby giraffe, and Mom kicked the shit out of them. Matter of fact, she broke the one's jaw. It was hanging. I hadn't realized how big giraffe feet were. I miss all that. I used to love watching, especially when the what is it? Not elk. Where you got the water buffaloes, and they all migrate, and then they'll be standing by the edge of the river, and they're looking at one another like, who's gonna jump in first? Because sooner or later, some crocodile's going to have breakfast. But they stand there at the edge of the river looking at one another like, okay, who's going to jump in the water first? And then one will jump in and swim across, and they're like, oh, okay, Charlie made it. And then a couple more bail in, and I'm like, uh-oh, where's Bob? We don't see Bob anymore. And then you look downstream and you see a smiling alligator with Bob. The other night I watched a special from Australia. It was on snakes. And they said like 90% of the world's deadliest snakes are in Australia. I was like, holy shit. And some of them snakes are sneaky. They match the foliage. Beautiful green snake, but it bites you, and within 15 minutes you're dead. It's you know, I'm not a snake lover, but some of them snakes are beautiful. Hey, I was just talking about the land down under and the beautiful snakes that will kill you in 15 minutes after they bite you. How you doing, friend? Stranger? I know it's late. I appreciate you popping in. It's got to be like midnight there. 1 o'clock. Good seeing you. I saw you during the day in somebody's chat the other day. I think it was Stone Vet. I pop in every now and then when I think of it. "10 a.m. 10 a.m. Boy. Yeah, that's you know, I'm thinking England, because like right now it's like midnight in England. 10 a.m. Well, good morning. It's amazing. I start talking about the land down under, and who pops in? I was saying I watched a special that was filmed down there about all the snakes. And as much as I'm not a snake lover, some of them are absolutely gorgeous. Only to find out that 90% of the world's deadliest snakes are down there. I used to watch that. Who was that snake guy? He had about 10,000 tattoos. People used to call him to come get snakes. That guy he was crazy. Handling them black mambas like knowing that if he would even prick his finger, it was bye-bye. Then one show, he found a bunch of black mamba eggs and took them home and hatched them, knowing that those little babies could kill you just as fast. And he raised them up, and then he took and let them loose. Talk about job security. Hatch a bunch of black mamba eggs, let them loose. And then when people call and say they got a black mamba in their living room, go out and get them. Guaranteed work. But he was crazy. I don't think that was his name. Maybe. Was it? I know there was one guy. He only had one leg. And then there was the other guy that had 50,000 tattoos. that would go out and snatch up snakes. I couldn't do that. No way. I like to admire snakes from a distance. Thank you. Oh, I can't remember the name of the program. I want to say the Snake Hunter, but that don't sound right. It's been a while since it's been on. I remember those two names. Yeah, the taipan and the eastern brown, and then the black mambas, of course. Because it seemed like the damn black mambas were the ones that got in everybody's houses. They opened their mouth and they got that ugly looking black mouth. And I never watched any of the American snake catchers. I just watched that guy down under. Crazy. And his girlfriend was just as crazy. Yeah, but I'll never forget the one show where he found a nest of black mamba eggs, gathered them all up, took them home, hatched them, and then let them out. It was like job security. Hatch them, let them out, go catch them. It was at A&E. Maybe it was A&E. Well, yeah, I could watch them on YouTube. But I would tune in every week. Maybe it was A&E. That was when I had cable. Well, you don't have to stay, Linda. If you're not feeling 100%, dear, don't feel obligated. We appreciate you being here. Like I say, you never have to feel obligated. As long as you, like Jenny, you know, she popped in, here I am, I'm okay, see you, bye. Yeah, it really surprised me when I got the friend request for Discord. I was like, is that the real Jenny? Then after a while I just clicked okay. If it wasn't the real Jenny, I was a friend of some other Jenny. I found me. As a matter of fact, I couldn't believe it. Family Dollar. I walked through. They have a little toy section. It was a gold chain with a medallion. Perfect for my costume. $2.99. Of course, it's all Chinese plastic. It'll probably make me sick, but yeah, now my Mayoween costume is complete. Now I know Scotto will outdo me, but I can't wait to see the look on his face when he sees me in my Mayoween costume. Leave it to Shiz to think of something like Mayoween. Only Shiz could do that. She better have a neat costume. That's all I got to say. And I hope Wally has a neat costume too. Although we already know who's going to win the costume contest. It'll be Scotto for sure. Maybe Team Skeptic will pop in a costume. I like him. He's cool. I'd like to know what he does for a living where he could travel all over the world. That's got to be a fascinating job. To travel to Netherlands and Scotland and Ireland and he must make some good money to be able to travel the world like he does. He's neat though. I like him. I like his studio. Although Kafar's, he's making a new studio again. He no sooner got the one studio finished and I guess he didn't like it. So he's making it, he's redoing it. Yeah, isn't Team Skeptic a cool guy? I give him a lot of credit for the way he turned his life around, too. He's got my ultimate respect because a lot of guys, they don't make a success out of themselves like he did. But he does some neat work. I like watching his videos. Especially that goofy, what the hell was her name? Doneski. She tried suing him. A wacky whack ball. Gee. Now, a disclaimer. Don't be mad at me. I'm checking out today at Family Dollar, okay? The woman behind me had a chest that looked like she was wearing 2 5-gallon drums on her chest. I was like, holy shit. How do you get in and out of your car? How do you steer your car? I was like in shock. Each one had to be the size of a 5-gallon bucket. I didn't know they made brassieres that big. Pardon me. Don't mean to offend, ladies. I was just... I had to keep pushing my... Don't look. Don't look. I was like, holy Christ. I don't know how she gets in and out of her car. I don't know how she steers her car. She must be driving a bus. I'm serious, Kathy. I've seen some large chests before, but not like... Her bra had to be 2 5-gallon Home Depot buckets stitched together. Although she hadn't asked to match, too. Just saying. I usually don't pay much attention to people, yeah. I turned. Whoa! I was like, hey, don't look. She'll hit you with one of them. She'll fracture your jaw. Where do you buy a brassiere that big? I'm they like I say, she had to have 2 Home Depot buckets wired together in the middle. And I'm thinking, first of all, having an ass to match, how in the hell do you get in and out of a car? And once you're in, how do you drive? I mean, seats only go back so far. Even if you got a Denali or an Expedition, seats only go back so far. Steering wheels only tilt so much. How do you get in and out? And then once you're in, how do you drive? I was like, Jesus. Oh, I don't think they were fake. And if they were, the plastic surgeon that put them on, he needed to be shot for putting something on that big. I'm serious. They were like 2 5-gallon buckets. And her ass was the same size. She walked out of the store, her ass looked like 2 pigs fighting to get out of a sack. I really was going to sit and wait and see what she was driving, but I had things to do, places to go, and people to see. I don't know how the hell she got in and out of whatever she was driving. And I can guarantee she wasn't driving a Mazda Miata. It had to be a school bus. Oh, Jesus. That's all I was thinking on driving to the next store I was going to. Where do you where do you order a triple Z bra? A quadruple Z had to be custom made. You know, I've never seen one that big on a rack. Yeah, I'm standing there going, huh? My head just kept going that way. I was afraid she was going to hit me with one. Ow! Okay, I won't look. I won't look. Jesus. All right, Gumpy. Next. Yeah. Astrup Awning. We used to have a place that made awnings. Astrup Awning. They used to be in the off of 25th somewhere. Good old Astrup Awning. God, their name was. They had the awning market cornered. Anytime you drove past the store, you saw their name on an awning, Astrup. They had the market cornered. As a matter of fact, they were the ones that made the canvas shopping bags for the West Side Market. Because I remember when my grandfather ordered me that custom one. I had my own little. Yeah. You got that right. Although he'd throw me out. He'd say, "Hey, you're even too bad for down here. Get the hell out of here." The one time I was in shock. I just had to hold my face. Quit looking that way. Well, let's change the subject. Let's bring it. I'll have nightmares tonight. I'm really getting into my British murder mysteries. I love that killer in my village. And then they've got one missing turns to murder. That's another good program. I like, forensics interests the hell out of me anyway. Watching how the Brits do it, man, they are way ahead of the United States when it comes to forensics. Just amazing. And they've got specialists for everything. Like they had a guy with, he was a specialist on blood spatter. And he could tell, okay, this was a really blunt instrument, but this was a stick. You can tell by the drips. I'm like, what? And that's all he specialized in. And then they find one hair. One little hair. And next thing you know, they have a whole DNA link. They pick it up with a little pair of tweezers. Oh, we're going to save this. Then they send it to the lab. 3 days later, oh, we got a whole DNA profile here. But it's amazing how advanced now. Yeah, they are way advanced because I've watched like First 48 and they'll call in the forensics and they don't do half the shit. God, in Britain, they locked down half the neighborhood. And then they have a team that goes in before the coroner removes the body, take 9,000 photographs. Then the coroner comes in and they take 10,000 photographs. And then after the coroner takes off, then they take like 100,000 photographs. They have very few murders that go unsolved over there. Not like we got over here. And I get into watching that kind of stuff. Although I used to love watching, what the hell was the name of that program? It was called The Operation. They did live operations on TV. It was years ago. I loved that program. Every week it was a different surgery. The one show, open heart surgery. Oh, when that guy come out with that bone saw, then they take this big clamp and they spread you open. Doctor sits there and cranks it. I was like, I didn't know your rib cage would move that far. Yeah, he put them clamps on and he's cranking away. It was amazing. I love that show. But it didn't get good ratings. People were like, we don't want to watch that. I think it only ran 2 seasons. They showed everything. I mean, they were showing hip replacements and knee replacements. Man, when they do a knee replacement, holy shit. They have a part of that knee joint is about this, and they're hammering it inside of the bone. Then they measure, a couple more taps, whack, whack. Then they hook it together, stitch you all back up. There you go. You got your new knee. Or a hip. When that guy did that bone saw down the middle of the guy's chest. Remember it was on, oh God, years ago. It was called The Operation. Every week it was a different operation. Because the one show they did a kidney transplant, and I mean, it was amazing. To me, I loved watching it. I just felt sorry for a few of them patients. Like the guy that had the open heart surgery. Man, he had to have a backache and a chest ache the next morning. They took the clamp out and they pulled the bone, and then they put a big staple in the middle of his rib cage. There you go. That's all he holds you together, one staple. Of course, the staple's about that thick. I loved it. And then when they said it got poor ratings and they were taking it off, I was like, oh man. But every week, a different operation. And they showed everything. It amazed me when they opened that guy's chest up. I was like, all that shit's inside you? Holy Christ. They did one show where a guy got shot. And they were taking his intestines going, let's see, oh, here it is, okay, let's stitch this back together. And then they stuff it all back in. Aren't you going to align it the way it... Nah, just put it all in there. Another one I used to like... It was called Autopsy. And it was filmed in a coroner's office. I can't do that, Karen. Prism and StreamYard don't mesh. That's why I've got to get rid of Prism. I've got to go to StreamYard or Restream because Prism, it won't mesh. I can't do that. I would love to. I can't do it. You remember that one, Kathy? I guess you and I both watched the same sick programs. That was like if I would be over at my sister's house. She loved watching that shit. My brother-in-law would be like, oh, you two are sick. He'd go down the basement and watch something else on TV. Yeah, Karen, tell me I appreciate it, but I can't link up like that with Prism. You won't let me do it. If I was strictly on YouTube, I could do it off of YouTube, but I can't do that off of Prism. Oh yeah, Kathy, at that time, my brother-in-law had one of the biggest frickin' TVs you could buy. and we'd tune into that. He'd come in from outside. He'd like, oh, you sick son of a bitches! Oh God, how can you watch that shit? My sister and I would be sitting there eating popcorn. You know. He'd go downstairs. He'd watch something else. Big Mr. Macho Man couldn't stand to watch the operation or autopsy. And that was like breaking TV back in the day, because they didn't do that. Well, it wasn't on a regular channel, it was on cable, but they didn't do that shit. That was earth breaking TV. This week we're going to watch brain surgery. Well, brain surgery is kind of boring. They just drill a hole and... Although with brain surgery, it's amazing. They don't put you out. They kind of numb you when they drill the hole, but you're wide awake. Do you feel that? No. Probing around. Yeah, we're both sick on Kathy watching that shit. But I loved it. It was interesting TV. Was better than watching some soap opera or... No wonder you're here on my stream. You're as sick as I am. Watch that stuff. My brother-in-law will be like, how can you guys be eating popcorn and chips with that on? Don't bother me. I'm not laying there on that operating table. What the hell? Well, he was a big macho man. My brother-in-law, a big macho man. You know, he could kick anybody's ass. He couldn't watch the operation. If he stood there and watched it, he'd start to gag. We'd be laughing our ass off. Look at Big Macho Man. He'd be like, I always wanted to tell all of his biker buddies, do you know that when the operation comes on, he gags? He has to run and throw up. Oh, yeah, he was the big macho biker guy, you know. He could kick the world's ass. But put on the operation, he was like a little sissy. Yeah. If you love watching that kind of stuff, I gotta look it up. I gotta remember the doctor's name. Oh God, what the hell was his name? Gunther. His first name was Gunther. He would do autopsies to a live audience. And he would take questions during the autopsy. Gunther, oh, what the hell was his name? Oh, jeez. Because you can find it all on YouTube. I can't think of his last name. His first name was Gunther. I remember that. Because the one show he took this prepped, they were all embalmed, and it was in a box, and he foamed the box, and then they took the wood, and he had this big giant bandsaw, and he literally cut this body in half. He did it right down the. Gunther. He ended up passing away. Oh, God. What the hell was Gunther's last name? If you love that stuff, Linda, you'd love watching his. Oh my God. It's right on the tip of my tongue too. Gunther. Oh, it'll come to me. And you can look him up on YouTube. It was fascinating stuff watching, because the one day he literally took from the throat, and he ended up stretching out everything from the throat to the diaphragm to the stomach, the intestines. He had 2 or 3 tables linked together, and he had everything, all the organs all stretched out. Gunther, oh God, what the hell was Gunther's? I'll have it for tomorrow night. There's one on YouTube. If you like watching that stuff, Linda, it takes place in Australia. I can't remember the name of it. It might be Emergency, but it's filmed down in Australia. And you literally see them come in, with trauma cases and everything. And the cameras are right there while they're working on it. But it's down in Australia. That's 2 that I got to get now. What the Australian? It might be Emergency. Well, I think that was the one that we were watching. But there's another one that was filmed. I don't know if it was filmed in Germany, but Gunther was the guy's first name. And he did autopsies and all kinds of stuff. That one, Kathy, was probably the one that we were watching. Oh, I wish I could remember Gunther's last name. I'll find it. But it was interesting. All us sick people watching shit like that. But it's a lot better than watching some stupid sitcom. Oh, God, that's going to drive me crazy with the hell Gunther's. That's it. Gunther von Huggins. Yes. Yes. Gunther von Huggins. Yes, yes, yes. That's him. Watch some of his stuff. Whoa. Yeah, Gunther von Huggins. He's got a whole series on YouTube. He passed away several years ago, but yeah, good old Gunther von Huggins. I knew somebody would save me. Look up his stuff on YouTube. Good old Gunther von Huggins, yeah. Leave it to my chat. Leave it to Kathy. Kathy's probably got blisters on her finger Googling Gunther, 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 Gunther. Yeah, good old Gunther von Huggins. Because he did that, the hell they call it, plasticine or something, where he developed this technique where he could plasticize skin, and he did some unbelievable, matter of fact, his displays toured the world because he did complete humans, and one of the biggest one he did was a horse with the plasticine system. He developed some kind of system where he could inject this plastic compound and it preserved all the flesh, and then it turned it to plastic. Because I remember when his stuff, it come to New York. His display, it traveled the United States, but it never hit like Cleveland. Well, Kathy, you nailed it. Yeah, Linda, go on YouTube and put in Gunther von Huggins and then watch all the stuff that he did. But that plasticine was amazing. Because I remember he brought it over to the United States, and they did a tour across the United States, and the closest it was to Ohio was New York. But it was amazing the work that he did. Like I say, he did a whole horse. The guy, I'll tell you what, he had a mind on him to come up with that process that turned skin into plastic and preserved it forever. And then to turn around and do animals and people in every different kind of pose, and amazing. He did some amazing work. But he also did autopsies on TV. Because it was amazing when he took and stretched out. He started with the esophagus and kept everything together and then spread it all the way out on oh, I've seen that. The body farms. They got one in Texas too. I didn't know they had one in Tennessee. Talk about donating your body to science. Have it out in a field somewhere rotting. And then students studying it. I guess somebody has to study you, especially if you're going to go into forensic medicine. The ones that amaze me are the guys that study the bugs. They can say, oh, well, this person died 5 years ago by the bugs here in the ground. Really? Oh, okay. Some of that science is amazing. Yeah, you know, people were against the body farms when they, proposed it. It's science. They have, bodies in different stages of decomp. And that's basically how they could say, well, this person, died 5 months ago or was killed 5 months ago. And then the detectives go, well, that's about when this person came up missing. I've considered donating mine for a study like that. That's like my niece. She was a mortician, and she studied down at the right here in Ohio, Cincinnati College of Mortuary Science. And she said basically, you donate your body, and when they're done with it, they cremate and they send the ashes to your next of kin for free. You don't even have to pay nothing. Because she said that's how they had something to learn on. I'm seriously considering it. I mean, the college kids need something to work on. And there's probably not that many people that go, okay, I'm going to sign up. You got to keep the college going. Like she said, you have to learn anatomy on a real person And then, if you're going to be a mortician, you have to learn how to embalm, and you can't do it on a dummy. And it would save funeral expense. Why not? When they're done, they cremate the body and they send the ashes to the next of kin. That way I could haunt my kid forever. I'd leave instructions. Put me on your mantle. I'm going to keep an eye on you. Why, to me, funerals are the biggest waste of money on earth. I totally believe in cremation. Why spend $15,000, $20,000, $30,000 to put a box in the ground? It's the biggest waste of money. I mean, what better than to advance education, give the college students something to learn on, and when they're done, no charge to the family whatsoever. Of course, any funeral directors listening will be sending me hate mail. But I do say that's the biggest waste of money. I'm not talking mental, Kathy. I'm talking body. You're a trip. I mean, I've left instructions. Basic, cheap cremation. And then when I talked to my niece, she said, donate. She said, just email the university. They'll send you the forms. You sign them, you notarize them, you send them back. And when you kick the bucket, they come pick you up. And then when they're done with you, they ship you back. You're just in a little smaller form. Oh, yeah. Weddings are ridiculous. I always said if I had a daughter, I'd buy her a ladder so that they could elope. I've seen some of the money spent on weddings. And they don't get the money back. People don't donate enough, in gifts to cover the expense of that wedding. Like when my sister got married, my little sister, she rented her dress. She rented her wedding dress, and I can't remember they had a small reception, but I think they got the hall for free because my father was a member of the VFW, so they got the hall for free. And then they got a big discount on the catering. And one of my brother-in-law's friends had a band, or he was a DJ. I mean, why spend thousands of dollars on a wedding dress you're going to wear one time? Yeah, my sister had a gorgeous dress. I can't remember what the woman said that knew it would have sold for like $4,000 or something like that. It was unbelievable. And she told everybody, I rented this. Don't spill nothing on me. Yeah, guys rent tuxes. Why not a woman, the old, oh, we're going to pass it down to our daughters. Well, by the time the daughter gets married, that dress is so out of style. And that's an old, that goes back to the 1920s, pass down your wedding dress. Guys rent their tuxes. Women rent their dresses like my sister did. Matter of fact, the whole wedding party rented their dresses. All the bridesmaids, it was all rental. They didn't have to spend a fortune. I think it was like $60 to rent a or was it 40? I think it was $40 for the bridesmaids' dresses, and I think it was like 75 for my sister's wedding dress. Nobody had to shell out. It's like girls in prom dresses. Spend all that money for a prom dress. You're not going to wear it again. Well, maybe if you go to a wedding. I think it's ridiculous. Yeah, the only stipulation was basically that, you know, if something got spilled on it, I can't remember what there was an extra charge or something, but yeah, it was a riot. The day the guys took all their tuxes back, all the girls took their dresses back. It was like, here you go. I know it's getting more popular, but I don't see it advertised as much. Yeah, in some areas it's big. You don't see a lot of it up here in Cleveland, but in some areas, as a matter of fact, where my sister and the girls rented, it was next door to the tuxedo shop. They were side by side. Rent a tuxedo, wedding dress rental next door. It was easy when it came time to return them. Everybody went to the same shopping center. Here you go. You know, you never heard of guys buying tuxedos. They always rent them. So why not the women rent? And I would tend to think girls could probably rent prom dresses there. The place had everything under the sun for rentals. I mean, what's the chance of wearing your prom dress again? Unless you're going to go, you go to a wedding, you already have a dress to wear. But what's that? Maybe once, twice? Give the rental places your money. Keeps them in business. Because I'll tell you what, today, prom dresses are goddamn expensive as weddings. Jesus. But that's, me. Because I'm cheap. Frugal. I'm an economist. And I'm cheap. I'll tell you what, the tuxedo shop made a lot of money off of me. 4 weddings. Matter of fact, after the second one, the guy goes, I know your measurements already. Just pick out what tux you want. Matter of fact, it was the same tux shop I rented my prom tux from. The guy told me, he says, you're my best customer. I said, well, you won't see me a 5th time. Don't put no... You can tear up that sheet with my sizes on it, man. You won't see me no more. He was depressed. What? You're not going to do it 5 times? No. Well, I think it's that time. We've had a very interesting chat tonight. Oh, man. We went from... What did we start with? Jesus Christ. We ended up talking about operations and autopsies and good old Gunther von Hawkins to renting tuxedos and wedding gowns. And with that, I think we'll play the original again tonight. I kind of enjoyed hearing that last night. Where's the original? Here we go. The original. Yeah, Buxom Women, that's right. That's where we started this shit. We'll meet right here. And with that, we will meet again tomorrow night. Everybody take care. Linda, you take it easy. And we'll see everybody tomorrow night. Have a wonderful rest of your evening. See ya.